Hello to you, Mark Side with HurricaneTrack.com here, Friday the 18th of August 2023. Very important update here. After this, I will be getting ready to finish packing, and then I'm going to the airport here in Wilmington, North Carolina, flying out to Phoenix, Arizona. Why Phoenix? That's gonna basically be my staging area, and if I need to get back east for something in the Gulf, yeah, it'll be easier to do that from Phoenix rather than LA or Vegas, right? So having to be smart here, but we have a lot to cover. We have Hurricane Hilary going to be bearing down on the Baja Peninsula first. We don't want to leave those folks out. No, not at all. It's going to impact them first with the greatest wind and ocean energy, and then the rainfall will come into the desert Southwest, Southern California, and vicinity. The possibility of some coastal problems, all will depend on where the track lines up. And then the structure of Hilary. I'm going to try to explain that a little bit. And I also have a phenomenal thread to show you off of Twitter from our mutual friend on the internet. Never met the gentleman in person, but his information is phenomenal, and that would be Tomer Berg. I'll be showing you that. And of course, we will address the concerns in the Atlantic Basin. Numerous areas, lots to go over, and it's only August 18th. Okay, first of all, Hilary, the latest information. I think the biggest thing that I want to point out is the fact that we now have a tropical storm watch here for parts of Southern California. Very, very rare to see that. It is also explicitly forecast to be a tropical storm, and I know I'm kind of breaking my own rule, emphasizing the label there, but it is forecast to be a tropical storm at the time it's crossing through California. And if it's just a little bit closer to being offshore, the impacts in terms of San Diego and elsewhere could be greater. Storm surge, onshore flow, that kind of thing. But the biggest concern in my mind, and I think a lot of people in the weather service community and the weather messaging community, is rainfall. 4 to 10 inches, maybe higher, especially in some of these mountain areas. Just as an example, these are the Spring Mountains right here. I know this because I know the area. That's part of my job. All right, and of course I used to live in Las Vegas a long time ago. Spring Mountains. Why do you get that bullseye there of up to 10 inches? Because the mountains act to force the air up and over, especially on the east side, where the wind is coming out, and we call that orographic lift. So those oranges that you see in there are representative of mountain ranges catching that moisture, wringing it out even more efficiently, and then what happens? Gravity takes over, and you can start to get some tremendous, unbelievable to catastrophic, I mean, you're talking like really bad flash flooding that can wash people away. Storm chasers that are heading out there that don't have any clue as to how to handle stuff in the desert Southwest, there will be a lot of coverage. There will be. You got to be careful. You get stuck in one of these areas, you try to go to Death Valley and Furnace Creek, I'm here to tell you, that main road that leads in there, that's in a dry riverbed. If that has 5 to 10 feet of unbelievable raging water because of 5 to 10 inches of rain in the mountains nearby, they're going to find you sometime in a few weeks. Don't mean to be macabre, but this is serious. I'll have to keep all that in mind myself. So the rainfall, a huge, huge problem here. That is why the potential for high-risk flooding right here in Southern California, I expect that this will expand once we get more data. I do. And the moderate areas here in the reddish color, and then even outside of that, the slight risk in the yellow, that covers a chunk of real estate as well. Rain, rain, rain. That'll be the biggest impact, but we cannot discount the possibility, if this tracks, if the center comes in like this, that we could get some onshore flow right in there. And I'll show you on a map in just a minute, on our interactive map, where we could see some onshore flow with storm surge. Otherwise, it'll be offshore flow all through this area because the wind, of course, is going to be like this, and will push the Pacific away from this bight down here. That's what it's called, B-I-G-H-T. The California bight, I believe, is the geographic term. All right, looking at the satellite animation, there's Hilary. It is enormous. That is a giant area of energy, of wind, of moisture, and it is all headed in this direction over the next several days, and it's not a dot on a map. Clearly, I think we can all understand that now. That's not a dot. That's a huge area of influence that is coming for a very big population area. I want to hype this up. I want to ring the alarm bells because this is very serious. Not in anyone's current memory do we have anything like this. It's that simple. All right? Here is a very interesting set of tweets that we're going to go through from our good friend Tomer Berg on the internet. Never met him, but boy, the stuff that he puts out is remarkable. That is who Tomer is. I just want to make sure you know who I am citing here and give him credit for all of this. So confidence has notably increased in the last day in Hilary Center, tracking between LA and just east of San Diego. In the event its center remains just west of Baja, it would be the first tropical storm to make landfall in California since 1939. Those are just minor details in terms of historic record. If the center stays over water and it comes in off from the water onto the land, then it's a landfall. If it's crossing from the Baja into California, it's just a track of a tropical cyclone. Again, these are just classification terms. Really won't change the outcome too much, except for extreme Southern California. We're thinking San Diego area, and I'll explain further why that would be the case. But otherwise, it's just about what it's called, and is it a landfall or whatever. That's just for history purposes. But that really interesting graphic there, honing in that, yes, this is headed for somewhere in the vicinity of San Diego, maybe LA. We'll have to see. All right, going down, looking at some of the flooding stuff here. Very, very important. I keep emphasizing it. Tomer mentioning it. Regardless of the track, excessive rain and flash flooding are the largest risks. National Weather Service Weather Prediction Center has issued a Day 3 high risk of excessive rainfall, and this is extremely important. High risks are rare in the U.S. for flooding, even more in the Southwest, and especially rare at Day 3 lead time. I expect that this will get larger as we get closer to the event unfolding, and we're going to see areas like Palm Springs, the I-10, I-8 corridors. I mean, dude, this is not good, period. All right, and another one, the primary contributors to this excessive rain risk is extraordinary moisture being pulled northward with Hilary, and there's that word, strong orographic ascent, where the water comes up over those mountains, it gets wrung out. The precipitable water not only breaks the late summer record regionally, but the entire year, 1950 through present, record by as much as 3 millimeters. And that's all meteorological stuff saying these are off the chart, not quite off the chart, but off of our memory, like we hadn't seen this before. And it could be off the chart in terms of the damage that we see from this. Very serious stuff here. Meteorologists are looking at this, the Weather Service, local planning officials. I mean, this is a big deal. Wind impacts in the LA-San Diego region depend on whether Hilary makes landfall before reaching California or near LA, right? If the center remains to the west, a potent low-level jet would be capable of producing damaging wind and even isolated tornadoes in the right front quadrant. So for a small area, LA down to San Diego and points in between, yes, it does matter where the center crosses into California. Does it do so from the Pacific, and it keeps the extreme Southern California, southwestern coastal areas in that right front quadrant, or is it already inland over the Baja just a little bit, sparing that scenario from taking place? That's just wind we're talking about. That really wouldn't change the rain outcome, and that's the biggest threat here. So some really interesting stuff. If you're not following Tomer, that's how you do so. B-U-R-G weather. Tomer Berg. There it is. I'll leave it up long enough for you to note that and follow Tomer for more interesting and helpful information. Meanwhile, we got to watch this. We got to watch this. We got to watch this. Lots of stuff going on in the Atlantic Basin. The other way to look at it, through the vorticity signature here, University of Wisconsin product, there's our energy. I know that the convection is further north up here, but there's the energy concentrating down here between Jamaica and eastern Cuba. But the whole area is starting to show some concentrated vorticity, where we're taking that energy and we're bundling it. That's what it looks like when it's fully bundled. There's Hilary. That's the jackpot over there. That's what we're looking for in terms of the markers, right? And then we have another one here that's clearly trying to bundle up. This still has a couple of areas, or lobes of vorticity as we call it. And even this one here, there's a lot of competition out here. But it just seems that something will give. And something out here, maybe multiple somethings, should develop. I think just logic dictates it. We're getting closer to the climatological ramp up. The dust is starting to settle out in the atmosphere. The moisture is starting to become more prevalent in the mid-levels. Something's going to give. I wish I knew exactly which one. The first and foremost area that we have to be concerned with, of course, is the Gulf of Mexico. That one feature forecast to come across somehow like this maybe over the next 3 or 4 days, trying to ramp up over those extremely warm, record-setting water temperatures. We're going to have to watch this very closely. I will have to watch it very closely because I am flying to Phoenix in just a few hours. And then tomorrow I'm going to go up to Las Vegas. And then I'm going to go over on the other side of Vegas to Pahrump. Why would I go to Pahrump? Well, I know that area pretty well. I've got a good friend of mine and colleague, early helper and developer and just general idea guy of the whole live streaming video that we're doing all these years later. That started back in '05. There's Pahrump. And this is why I'm concerned about, look at those mountains. That's the Spring Mountains. That's highlighted in that risk area I was showing you. This is what's so cool about our interactive map, by the way. San Bernardino Mountains down here. Any of these mountains where you can get that flow coming in from the east, piling up that water into the mountain ranges, you're going to wring it out. And that rainfall can drain down very efficiently into these valleys down here. Pahrump Valley, that's why they call it that. It's called Las Vegas Valley. So you got the Sheep Mountains and you got Sunrise Mountain. I'm telling you, this whole area, Vegas, maybe up towards Cedar City and St. George, it just depends on the track. Certainly Pahrump over here, just outside the cone of uncertainty, which is so wild to see. And then, of course, Death Valley. If there is any way possible, I'm going to try to get a GoPro in Death Valley at Furnace Creek and leave it running. It'll run for about 36 hours. I've just got to figure out how I'm going to do it. I got to get up with some park officials because it's a national park. Make sure somebody can get it for me later. There's a lot of stuff that has to go right. But I fear that a lot of water could be funneled right down into Furnace Creek and Death Valley. They got an inn there. I think it's called the Inn at Death Valley or something like that. A little hotel and a restaurant, and there's golfing there. It could be absolutely devastating, the amount of water coming. But elsewhere, of course, Southern California. Huge population areas, but important too, these big corridors that we call our interstate systems. Interstate 10 that I just drew on. This is Interstate 8. We could have those washed out. Absolutely not out of the realm of possibility. And when you cut off the interstates, you're cutting off arteries of commerce, transportation, you name it. This could be very problematic on a huge scale. So please pay attention. Don't dismiss this as somebody's trying to scare you. They always say that. Well, again, like I said, hopefully we are wrong and we are full of it, and this ends up being nothing. But I'm pretty sure the science is leading us to a pretty grim outcome when this is all said and done. All right, so you can follow along, of course, on Twitter. I will always call it Twitter, by the way, just so you know. On YouTube, which is where you are watching this in most cases. However, I am able to also post these videos directly to Patreon. What is Patreon? It is our crowdfunding platform, but it is also a community. All right, it is a community, and you can join, and you don't have to pledge anything. You can upgrade when you want to and have access to things like this interactive map, which has the ability for us to turn on camera systems. By the way, there's our camera in Pahrump, Nevada right now. This is what it looks like from Paul's place. That's my friend out there. Kind of, well, if it'll ever load, kind of partly cloudy, indirectly related to the moisture feed coming in from Hilary. But this is a permanent camera. What I'm going to do is take one out and literally put it on the main drag there. I think that's 160 in Pahrump. But yeah, you get on Patreon and you can have access to all of that, plus our Discord server, the live cams, exclusive podcast, interactive maps that I just showed you. And you can upgrade and downgrade and do whatever you need to do to fit your budget. We have to fund what we do. We're proud of our community, and that's how you get involved. You can go to patreon.com/HurricaneTrack or get the app on your smartphone or whatever and search for Hurricane Track there. Also, I'll be working with Fox Weather, of course, and they have a tremendous app, and it's got live streaming in it. I will be doing reports for them. They got a lot of correspondents heading out there, and they're going to cover it with my assistants kind of filling in the holes. They'll have people stationary. I will be on the move. So a lot going on. All right, that is it from me. I'm going to get ready, pack everything up, and get ready to go to the airport in a couple of hours. And I'll see you next from the Desert Southwest. I am Mark Sudduth, Hurricane Track. Yes, I will be streaming live starting tomorrow on YouTube right here, so be sure to tune into that. And as long as I've got coverage and I'm awake, it'll be live, so you can check in and see what we're doing as it's happening. Have a good rest of your Friday, a great weekend. I will be doing updates, absolutely, and we'll do all that from the Southwest. Again, Mark Sudduth here, Hurricane Track. I'll talk to you lots over the weekend ahead.